Time for Arizona's only local sports gambling radio show. Take the Points. Powered by the SportsBook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, take the Points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
Welcome in. Good Saturday morning to you. We are live at the CAZ Sports Bar, Casino, Arizona, and happy to be back. I love coming to this place every Saturday morning, Jackson. Jackson Groff, Mike Bauer, Mike Gross taking up to 1 o'clock today. And great crowd again. Penn State, Ohio State seems to have everybody's attention. Penn State kept the ball. We won't do play-by-play on the radio, but we've been watching this one as we've been setting up, getting ready to go on air. And I told you, Jackson, and we'll see how this one plays out because it'll be over when we get off the air. This Penn State-Ohio State game has a lot of the feel that Michigan-Penn State had, where Penn State hung around early and, Ohio State didn't put them away. We'll see if Penn State can string together a better second half here at home against Ohio State than they did a couple weeks ago against Michigan.
Yeah, I got to mention too. You're wearing your Michigan apparel right now, so you're pretty happy about what's going on right now with Ohio State being down to Penn State right now. The score currently at 14-13. It looks like Penn State's going to punt to Ohio State, so Ohio State looking to rebound from a struggling first half offensively.
Yeah, absolutely. And this one, and we got to, as we said, we're at the Sportsbook here at CAZ Sports Bar. And the first thing we do every Saturday morning is we go over the window right to the right. When you're walking up to it, they've got the sheets where you can see what all the lines are, the totals. We always grab that. Ohio State went off at a 15-point favorite in this one, and the point total was 60.5. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out here throughout the course of the rest of the game. We'll get into it in just a minute. But if you're new to the show, we hang out here at the Sports Bar and we talk about sports, obviously, but we put the lens of sports gambling over it because that's what we do. And it's interesting. It makes it fun. And we bring our guests on. They talk about it. Regular listeners to the program know that Marco D'Angelo, regular visitor, regular contributor to the show, he'll be on at 12:30. We'll break down a couple college, couple professional games with him. We'll also ask him at Wager Talk, what are they doing with the World Series? You got the Phillies, the upstart Phillies, and the Houston Astros, the team that everybody loves to hate unless you're actually an Astros fan, and a big win for the Fightin' Phils last night in extra innings. So we'll get Marco's take on that and what they're doing with the World Series at wagertalk.com. What do we got on the opening line?
Yeah, well, and then also at 11:15, we got to mention we're having Brian Howell, who's the Colorado Buffaloes beat writer. We talk about what's going on in the Colorado Buffalo organization, their program right now, what they need to do to beat ASU. Don't know a whole lot about Colorado, so I'm interested to hear from him. But, yeah, the opening line. I mean, sports. Obviously, college football is going on today. I saw something the other day, Gross, and you'll find this fascinating, that from now until the end of November, there will be some kind of football on every single day.
I believe it.
Whether that's college, NFL, or both, folks. So be on the lookout for that. Thank God.
Thank you, MAC and Mountain West and some of those other conferences that will move games around to take advantage of those checks from ESPN. And I was going to make a comment, and maybe I better check myself here. As you said, we're going to go up to Boulder and talk about the CU Buffs. Is there a more miserable football state this fall than Colorado? And I was going to go all in. Colorado is awful, although they did beat Cal a couple weeks ago. The Broncos' struggles are well documented. And again, they're not the worst in the NFL, of course, but performance versus expectations, right? They had sky-high expectations with the signing or the trade for Russell Wilson, and that has not come to fruition. And then Colorado State to start the season was awful, but now I got to check myself. They're actually middle of the pack in the Mountain Division of the Mountain West Conference. They're 2-1, sandwiched in between Wyoming and Utah State. They're still 2-5 overall.
Wait, so they've won 2 games
in the Mountain West?
Wow, I'm surprised they even won 2 games.
Well,
overall,
me too, because when last we looked, and we don't want to make this show about Colorado State. That's the last thing we want to do. It's more about how bad Colorado State not Colorado football is. Colorado State lost to Michigan. Colorado State lost at home to Middle Tennessee. And it wasn't like a last-second field goal. They got blown out on their own home field. They lost to Washington State. They lost to a team that I've never heard of, Sacramento State. They lost to Utah State. You were supposed to react to the Sacramento State comment.
What?
I'm kidding. I've heard of Sacramento State. But again, they've rebounded, so I'll be nicer to Colorado State. But it's a bad fall for football in a state that is absolutely crazy about college and professional football. So we'll get up to Boulder and get a preview of that one. ASU looking to get a win. Kind of a tough performance for the Devils last weekend, where their defense, I thought, played pretty well. You hold your opponent to field goals, even if it is 5 of them. Your offense should bail you out, and they didn't do that. Sean Aguano made the announcement that he's going to step in and take over the play calling to see if that rights the ship. I think anything you do against the Colorado Buffaloes will look good, and we'll see if they can sustain that. ASU 13.5-point favorites this afternoon up in Boulder. Kicks off about 4:30 our time. 47.5 is the total on that one, and you like to see the offense make a contribution because that defense did play really well last week against Stanford.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's get into the opening line here, folks. Got a lot to talk about college football-wise. Notre Dame, 4-3 Notre Dame. They were the underdog in this matchup. I'm looking at the sheet right here, and I believe if I can find it. 1.5 was favored towards Syracuse. They're currently up 21-7. Syracuse has the ball on their own 5-yard line. Looking to make something happen offensively.
Can I just say this, though? You and I last week, we were watching Syracuse. They had a chance. And I think we were openly rooting for Syracuse. And ever since you and I started paying attention to Syracuse last Saturday, it's been downhill for them. They lost that game, bad penalties, a game I'm not going to say they should have won. They had an opportunity to win at Clemson. And then now they come home, big game in the Dome up there. And Notre Dame's up by 2 touchdowns in the third quarter.
Yeah, and if you're Notre Dame here, this is a huge game for you. If they can win this one, they got Clemson at home next week. And for me personally, I'm a Notre Dame fan, but I'm also a college football fan, and I really want to see Clemson lose because I don't think they stack up to the Ohio State, to Alabama. Well, Ohio State's losing right now, but to those type of schools when it comes to the college football playoff. And Ohio State folks just got the ball back. Big turnover from Penn State. Ohio State is down 1 point, 14-13. Penn State ranked 13. Ohio State ranked 2. And a key stat line here, a player that I've been fascinated with. You obviously know who Marvin Harrison is. Everyone knows who Marvin Harrison is, and it's tough to live up to a name like that. But his son right now has been balling this whole season. He's at 5 catches, 110 yards right now. It's
cool when you see the and you're absolutely right about that. But it's cool when you see the sons of whatever sport is your favorite, and you see it a lot in all the sports, hockey, basketball, but obviously in football. And Marvin Harrison, obviously one of the all-time greats. So that's cool to see. But you're right; it is hard to live up to Dad's name, particularly when Marvin Harrison was so prolific.
Yeah, and then when Jackson Smith-Njigba was the go-to guy, everyone was looking for him. He's been hurt all season, so they didn't really know who that second guy to step up this season would be for Ohio State, and that's who it's been for the Buckeyes. So we'll see what they can do here, down 1 point. And they were favored, I believe it was 15.5 points in this game, which 15 is what I'm looking at right now. And the money line for Penn State winning was plus 465. So be on the lookout for that. And then in West Virginia, in a close one right now against 7 TCU, they're down 7. 28-21 is the score right now. And then across the league right now, Oklahoma up 13-6 against Iowa State. Iowa State wasn't favored. Oklahoma was favored in this matchup. And a key stat line here is the only touchdown that Oklahoma has scored so far was off of a fake field goal.
Wow.
So they haven't even scored
trying to get creative
or defensively.
How the mighty have fallen.
I know, exactly. It's crazy.
Do respect Boomer Sooner.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oklahoma's 4-3, but, maybe they can pull out a win, be bowl eligible, and, finish off their season strong. Arkansas is up 17-13 against Auburn. And, those are basically the big games that are going on right now.
And obviously we'll put some attention on the NFL coming up later on in the show. The Cardinals travel to Minneapolis to play the Vikings tomorrow. The Vikings 3.5-point favorite in that one. And it'll be interesting to see. Cardinals got a big win a week ago Thursday. Their defense contributing some scores. But this is not this is not the New Orleans Saints. The Vikings at home. It's a tough place to play. And the Cardinals travel in their first early game of the year. That's one of the things you always factor in particularly with this Cardinals team traveling from the Western time zones. We straddle that Mountain Pacific all the way to Minneapolis for that game tomorrow, early game. But again, the Cardinals 3.5 points, underdogs 49.5. We'll get Marco D'Angelo's in-depth analysis of that one a little bit later on the show. But we'll talk some NFL as the show goes on as well, going into Week 8 of the National Football League season. And a big part of the National Football League, Jackson, you're part of it every Monday night here at the CAZ Sports Bar, Casino, Arizona. Your chance to win cash just for watching football. What is that jackpot up to now?
It's at $1,700, folks.
And it had
$1,700.
And you made the point last week that it hasn't even been close to somebody winning some cash.
Yeah, I think the closest it's been is the 50-yard line. I think it's been $50, but not yet. So hopefully we can see I would love to see a kickoff return maybe this weekend. You never know. It's going to be the Browns versus the Bengals.
The Battle of Ohio.
Both teams got explosive players on the special teams, offensively and defensively, so you never know. But, yeah, real quick about that Cardinals Minnesota money line, the spread. Started out this week at 5, and now it's at 3.5, a 1.5 swing towards the Vikings, which is interesting.
Yeah, we've got a whole list of interesting trends and analysis that we get from our friends at AG Sports, and we'll take a run through all of that later on in the show, kind of break down what's happening. Marco always tells us, follow the money, follow the sharps, see what's happening, make an informed decision. But as we said, Monday Night Football here at CAZ Sports Bar. It's the Bengals at the Browns. Kickoff about 5:15. Doors open at 4. Your chance to win cash just for watching football. And you heard Jackson say it. If you are in the hot seat and somebody returns a kickoff for a touchdown, and successfully converts the extra point, you get whatever's in the jackpot. If they don't, you get whatever they run the ball out to, or if they take the touchback, 25-yard line. If they run it back to the 50-yard line, somebody on the team handed that person $50 in cash, just like that, no strings attached. You have to be a member of the Players Reward Club to win the cash. But other than that, your chance to win cash just for watching football, plus great food and drink specials. Doors open every Monday at 4 o'clock. Come on out and see the guys. We'll step aside here. On the other side, we head to Boulder. Take a look at what's going on with the Buffs. We'll talk Pac-12 football coming up next on the show.
Take the Powered by the SportsBook, CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Exclusively on Fox Sports Live 10.
Welcome back in. Hanging out at the CAZ Sports Casino, Arizona, taking it to 1 o'clock this afternoon. And Pac-12 football on the docket later on, but we will head up to Boulder now and check in with Brian Howell. He covers the Buffs for the Boulder Daily Camera. Hey, Brian, it's Mike and Jackson down in Phoenix. How are you today?
Well, how are you guys?
We're doing great, and I mean, geez, we're sitting in a sports bar talking about football. How bad could that be? I spent a long time living and working in Denver, the Denver metro area, which obviously Boulder is a huge part of. And the one thing I remember, the one thing I know is people in Colorado love their football, and they especially love when their Buffs and their Broncos and even the Rams are playing well. And it's been a rough fall for football fans up and down the line up there in Colorado. I mean, what's your sense of just the man on the street right now, the level of frustration with the football being played up there?
Yeah, they love their football and they love winners, and so right now they're enjoying fall colors and Avalanche hockey starting up and things like that. So it's been a rough one for football around here, and even the beloved Broncos are not helping things out. So it's been rough, and as far as the Buffs go, I mean, the reality is CU's got to be pretty good to get much attention outside of Boulder, and they're not getting a whole lot of attention right now.
We're visiting with Brian Howell. Follow him on Twitter at Brian Howell33. I mentioned that because tweeted out a story a bit ago from the Buff Zone there at the Boulder Daily Camera. Mike Sanford, interim coach, obviously ASU with an interim coach. Neither one of these guys are going to get either of these jobs when it's all said and done. What's the plan, the interim plan, as they play out 2022 there in Boulder for Coach Sanford and his staff?
Yeah, for Sanford, it's really just do the best you can, and keep things together for another 5 weeks, and then thank you for your time. I think that's what it's going to end up being, and Sanford's doing a great job with that. They're 1-1, and I would say he's doing a great job off the field. I mean, they did get the win 2 weeks ago against Cal. We'll see what happens today, but he's done a really, really nice job with just re-energizing the program a little bit. Pumping some life into a program that didn't have a whole lot of it. And so he's done that part of it. And he continues to talk about how, even if he's not here very long, he's, hitting recruiting and all that stuff hard just because he knows it could be detrimental to CU long term if he doesn't keep doing that while he's here. I applaud him for that.
I apologize, Brian, there. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Brian, when you take a look at the last handful of coaches, I mean, you got some big names, you got some maybe younger coaches that were the hot name at the time. In terms of the style of coach that they're looking at, not necessarily, you don't have to necessarily give us names, but what do you think the next coaching hire is going to look like in terms of what type of coach? A young up and comer, an old washed up guy like we've seen some programs hire. In terms of what type of coach they're looking for, who is that?
Rick George, the athletic director, has not given out much of a profile of what he's looking for. From people I've talked to and my belief of what this program needs, I think they need to get somebody that is a proven head coach, that's won football games as a head coach and done it. I think it probably helps if they've done it at a program that hasn't done well. Kind of like the Mike McIntyre hire from a few years ago when he had done some good things at San Jose State, and then they brought him here, and he did elevate that program to a point before he was let go. But I think that's the model of what CU needs, is someone that's a proven head coach. There's a lot of names being thrown around, of course, and some names of some hot young coordinators, things like that. But to me, I think that this is too important of a hire to give it to somebody that's never been a head coach before. A 35-year-old coordinator that's never been a head coach. I think that's too much of a task right now for that type of coach.
Brian Howell joins us, Buff Zone, Colorado Buffaloes beat writer. I want to talk about today's game. You guys are a 13.5-point underdog against ASU. You guys won your first game 2 weeks ago. What was clicking in that game against California that you need to see clicking in order to beat the Sun Devils today?
Well, the first thing was it was just kind of the perfect storm of emotion for CU in that it was family weekend, and it was going to be pretty close to a sellout regardless. I mean, they had projected that before the season. So you have 50,000 fans, or almost a full stadium, that brought some energy. They were re-energized from Mike Sanford, frankly, and coming up with a bye week. And CU also had that element of surprise. They revamped some things offensively and defensively that Cal had never seen. And I think all that came together where they could get a win. It's going to be different today because CU's now got 2 games of film that ASU could watch. And it's not going to be 50,000. I mean, they're going to be probably under 40,000 today with the fans. So they're going to have to generate some more energy on their own, which they generally do a pretty good job at home. I expect CU to play well. Obviously, as you guys know, ASU is struggling as well. It's hard to believe that a team struggling like ASU is a 14-point favorite on the road. That tells you a lot about Colorado. But I do think the Buffs show up well at home, especially night home games.
Wrapping it up here, talking CU Buffs here on the show as the Devils in Boulder today to square off against the Colorado Buffaloes. Brian Howell, good enough to spend some time with us. Going back to, the future of Colorado football, and I get the sense, similar to what's going on here at ASU, we're talking, press conferences where the president and the athletic director are appearing together talking about it here in Tempe. How big of an institutional decision is this moving forward for the Buffs? And I've seen some things, that within the athletic department, they feel they're at some kind of disadvantage due to the way the academics work. It's hard to transfer into CU, hard to get JUCO kids into CU. Are things going to change, or is this going to be a tough road to hoe for the CU team moving forward?
Yeah, it's tough. There are some recruiting, transfer restrictions that are put on the school. It's just difficult sometimes for a lot of credits to transfer toward your degree, and you can get kids into school, but the NCAA has that progress towards degree requirement in order to be eligible, and so it's not really a matter of getting kids into school, but it's are they eligible to play. And Carl Durrell, told me at Pac-12 Media Day that he kind of just stopped recruiting some of those second and third year guys because he wasn't going to get them eligible. And I don't think you need to fully stop that. There's probably some guys you can get in.
Right.
It is a challenge. There is talk of that changing at the university level, but that's a major discussion, and it's not going to change in the next month. And so whoever comes in here is going to have to deal with that at least right away. And maybe by year 2 or 3, they've got something different there, but they're going to have to deal with it right away.
I mean, I guess coming from Arizona right down the street from Tempe, I guess I'd rather have that than, a looming NCAA investigation, given the battle of the interim coaches and the situations behind the schools. When you take a look at the conference as a whole, Brian Howell, our guest now from Buff Zone, Boulder Daily Camera, we know what the view like is from here in Tempe. We know what the view like is, down in Tucson. But when someone in Colorado that covers this team day in and day out looks at the conference and the future of the Conference of Champions in the Pac-12 as a whole, what do you see, Brian, from your side of things in terms of how this conference is going to look over the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, I think 5 is probably different from 10. I think eventually, I could see an Oregon, Washington, maybe Stanford, schools like that being in the Big Ten, but I don't think that's anytime soon. I do think that in the near future, and probably the next 3, 4, 5 years, that the Pac-12 can stay as it is, at least with these 10, and then maybe adding a couple. I do think that CU is going to be in the Pac-10, Pac-12 for the next several years at least, and we'll see after that. Once Oregon and Washington leave, if they ever do, all bets are off. Yeah. And I think that it's kind of a free for all at that point. Where can everybody land? But to me, I think that the Pac-12 is in an okay spot for right now to stay intact with those 10 schools and maybe add a couple more.
Brian Howell covers the Buffs for the Boulder Daily Camera, Buff Zone. Follow him on Twitter at Brian Howell33. Brian, appreciate your time on a game day. Enjoy it, and we'll catch up with you down the line.
Thanks, guys.
Good stuff. We appreciate Brian and man, Bauer, we were talking about this in the opening drive. Just a tough fall for football fans in the great state of Colorado. And, usually when you're in a state like, you got Michigan State playing today, or Arizona State, you can take some solace, like, hey, your team's down, but my team's good, so
Yeah,
you guys suck.
misery loves
You
company.
can't do that in Colorado because they both stink.
Well,
And this is they I don't know why they don't play every year, but this year they didn't play. And I have a good friend that's a season ticket holder of the Buffs, and I said, what would have happened if CU and CSU would have played their normal game this year? He goes, lots of drinking. Because it's just that bad up there this year, and then they layer over the whole Broncos thing. It's bad.
Hey, but to be quite honest, they do have great beer in Colorado. So
this is
good.
it's
a great beer state.
It's simply a football observation at this point, and maybe the great beer state makes the pain go away a little bit easier.
One of the things I noticed is, as a Sun Devil, and our listeners know that I'm a Sun Devil, but as a Sun Devil, I had a flashback to when and I know that both teams aren't necessarily in the best place right now, but whenever I would talk to, somebody who's a U of A fan and ask them about their football team, they would tell me, hey, basketball season's coming soon. Yeah. You asked our guest, Brian, who covers the Buffaloes day in and day out, about the state of football, and like the fifth word out of his mouth was Avalanche. You asked him about football, and he was like, well, the Av season started.
Yeah, that's where they're at. That's where they're at right now. I want to spend a little bit more time on the CU situation on the other side. He's Mike Bauer, Jackson Groff, Mike Gross. We'll step aside. We'll be right back from the CAZ Sports Bar, Casino, Arizona.
Casino, Arizona, exclusive on Fox Sports 910.
AZ TV Channel 7 is your new home for college football here in Arizona, featuring schools that have produced some of the game's greatest athletes. Great football, high energy halftime bands, and coverage you won't find on any other station. Today's game features Arkansas Pine Bluff and Florida A&M. That's AZ TV Channel 7 kickoff just after 1 o'clock today. Thanks again to Brian Howell, who joined us in our last segment. I want to spend a little bit of time on the Colorado Buffs, because, and you mentioned it, you said, well, you've got academic situations that make it tough at CU, and maybe you'd rather have that because you at least can control the fix there. Unlike ASU, they're still waiting and waiting for the NCAA, about ready to have another recruiting class taken away from them.
But I've been rough with a coaching change anyway.
Of course, but
let's tear the Band-Aid off and let's find out what the NCAA is going to do, and let's move on from this damn thing. Let's go.
I don't know what fixes this situation in Colorado, and I dial it all the way back to when CU and Utah joined the Pac-12 or joined the Pac-10 to become the Pac-12. And you look at this CU program, and I ask this question all the time, and I've never gotten a good answer. What does CU bring to the Pac-12 conference aside from the Denver TV market? Like when you look at it and say, oh my God, we're so glad that we've got the CU football team. Or you were telling the story about ASU U of A. When U of A stinks in football, which is often, they always come back with,
basketball season's right around the corner.
Well, CU doesn't do that. I mean, they've been in the tournament but everybody goes to the tournament. What does CU bring? They don't even have a baseball team. Like everybody in the Pac-12 plays baseball. What does CU bring to this team? And I'm sorry, a new coach and maybe loosening up some academic restrictions, I don't see how that fixes that.
Yeah, there's no attraction when it comes over to Colorado. Just in general, I don't know what they have to do here. I would see them, honestly, I think this is a program that will probably bring in a veteran head coach. I'm looking right now, Paul Chris, former Wisconsin head coach, is available. That's someone that kind of is the older type that could fit in there. Matt Rule, obviously, his name's going to come up. Justin Wilcox from Cal, head coach, and the D coordinator from USC, Alex Grinch. He's a young guy too, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. But
I don't think it matters.
I agree. There's no real attraction to the Colorado program in general.
The best thing that's happened to the Colorado football program is Mel Tucker got paid by Michigan State. In terms of him leaving, obviously that's not great. But you're talking about a coach who was 5-7 that then got paid by Michigan State. And some of the best moments of Colorado football over the last few years have been tepid at best.
And Bauer, I thought you asked him an interesting question because they've got this cloud of the coaching change hanging over them and a program that's been down. What happens with the future of college football relative to the Buffs? And, I think in Arizona, we sit here, if you're an Arizona fan or Arizona State fan, and you say, all right, if the Pac-12 survives, if Oregon and Washington resist the allure of the Big Ten, you're cool going ahead without USC and UCLA. You don't love it, but you're okay with it. If you get any more defections, you got to have some serious conversations. And I think they're not going to say it publicly right now, but if ASU and U of A had to go to the Big 12, I think they'd be okay with that. Maybe it's not ideal, but I think they could live with it. Colorado can't go back to the Big 12.
No.
Colorado
turned your back on that conference.
I am a huge fan of The Simpsons, and there's this one that I remember when Homer got fired at the power plant, and he was driving out of the plant on the golf cart, and he tossed a Molotov cocktail on the bridge, literally and figuratively burning the bridge on the way out of the power plant. That's essentially what Colorado did when they walked away from the Big 12 to join the Pac-12, and you can't go back.
Right.
They will. I wouldn't be surprised out of spite if they made it painful to Colorado if they asked to come back. So this is a tougher conversation if you're a CU fan than it even is for Arizona State at this point.
Well, for me, when you take a look at the Buffs, you go back to, I know that Coach Newhouse was there, and Gary Barnett, but we're talking since the 90s that there hasn't been a great deal of relevance, and I thought you might have been going somewhere when you started talking about ASU and U of A and Colorado. Colorado doesn't have the strength of a partner that they're tied to as well in terms of future reshaping of college football discussions. Colorado is a lone wolf, if you will, in terms of ASU and U of A, at least for most parts. Now, granted, we just saw Oklahoma leave Oklahoma State behind in the Big 12. But for the most parts, ASU, the Board of Regents, the way that the tax system's set up, they're tied together. So ASU, hey, you're bad at basketball. U of A's great at basketball. Colorado doesn't have a partner.
Right.
So I mean, could 10 years from now, and when I asked Brian about, hey, what does the conference look like 5-10 years, he said it looks a lot different 5 years, 10 years. I mean, could Colorado almost get relegated to the Pac-10 or to the Pac-8 or to the Mountain West? Because ASU, U of A, when we have these discussions about massive restructuring of conferences, ASU is generally, and U of A are generally, all right, well, if they're not in the Pac and they add somebody, maybe they'll go to the Big 12.
Yeah.
Colorado doesn't have somebody who wants them.
Well, and I think you make a good point. That a lot of times that's a bad thing. You don't have that partner.
Right.
But sometimes it's a good thing. The Oklahoma State, you don't have the heartburn over those types of decisions. And so that's real. And they'll always have that Denver TV market, but you bring up Colorado and the Mountain West. Those conversations are real in Boulder right now if this Pac-12 or what's left of the Pac-12 goes south. And, how do you feel right now if you're a season ticket holder of this Colorado football team? And they're charging Pac-12 money to watch this product. And it's not going over well with the faithful in Boulder. So, like I said, this is you asked a question that I might have gone in a different direction on my answer than Brian did. And obviously he was representing the Colorado point of view.
Yeah.
I honestly think that the ASU situation is better than the Colorado situation right now. I honestly do. And that is with the NCAA cloud hanging over this program. I feel it's a better situation than it is in Boulder.
In terms of jobs that are open right now, right? Guys that are interim coaches, and this is a game this afternoon, ASU's in Boulder. But in terms of jobs that are open, that are available, in terms of sexy coaching positions, who's going to make the best or the worst hire, you've got Nebraska, obviously, ASU, Colorado. You give me 10 minutes, and I'll start listing other schools that might fire coaches before I get to Colorado in terms of a sexy destination.
You ain't lying.
ASU has appeal in terms of the fact that for the umpteenth, millionth time, it's a sleeping giant, blah, blah, blah. Look, Arizona is a great place. Nebraska has incredible history, and they're in the Big Ten. What the heck does Colorado have going for it in terms of attracting some, in terms of recruiting a good coach? They're going to get their 5th, 10th, 15th choice.
You said good beer.
Great beer.
I was going to answer that question, Bauer. You mentioned sexy and attraction. Well, let's talk about Tommy Brown signing the first ever college football underwear deal. That's what they got going for him. When you talk about sexy.
Okay, you're going to have to explain this to our listeners.
Okay, all right, I'll explain.
Most of our listeners probably don't know the offensive line depth chart for the Colorado Buffaloes.
So what came out yesterday, Colorado offensive lineman Tommy Brown signs with Shinesty. And he becomes the first ever college football NIL underwear model. So they have underwear model offensive lineman is what Colorado has going for him.
The quote is awesome.
He said, quotes, "When you have a body this good, you deserve to be paid." Yes, that's a real quote.
And the pictures are real. Look it up. Google it.
Look up
Find
Tommy
this guy's
Brown.
pictures.
So that's what they got going for him. That's it.
And if you don't, let's say that you're driving around right now and you can't Google this. Don't drive it. Don't Google. But imagine if you're a Seinfeld fan, this is the Costanza on the couch picture.
100%.
This is Costanza posing on the couch. That's essential. That's what he's channeling in these photos of him being an underwear.
Look up Tommy Brown.
An offensive lineman.
Hey, real quickly before we step away.
It's so dumb. It's great.
Quick look at the scoreboard. Ohio State regains the lead from Penn State. Early fourth quarter, though, Jackson. Ohio State is not doing what Michigan did, like I said earlier. 16-14, the Buckeyes lead. Penn State has the ball there at midfield. 38 seconds left to go in the third quarter. TCU hanging on over West Virginia, 28-24. End of the third from the Carrier Dome.
No.
Sorry, I'm not doing it.
Come on now. It's not the Carrier Dome anymore.
No, it's not. It is always the Carrier Dome to me.
But it's not. They have a new sponsor. I don't know what it is.
24-17, Notre Dame.
JMA Wireless Dome.
We're not. We will not get on the Syracuse bandwagon.
We are not going to talk about Syracuse, but I want to talk about this Ohio State-Penn State game. Right now, Penn State in the red zone, and I think the biggest thing that Penn State's doing is they're stopping Ohio State in the red zone. They're not letting Ohio State convert on touchdowns, but kicking field goals. I think that's a huge reason why Penn State is still in the ball game. 13 minutes left in a tough environment like Penn State. These fans are getting rowdy. It's going to be tough for Ohio State.
Really low
come
scoring
out.
game.
Yeah. The over-under was 60.5.
Yeah, really low scoring game. Penn State's driving. And you're right about this. The only thing that would have made it better for Penn State if it was an October night and it was 7 o'clock, because that place is as close to the SEC in the Big Ten that you can get. Night football games in State College in the fall, and maybe a little bit of snow in the air.
They aren't doing the whiteout, but they got the stripes though. They got the zebra stripes, which
That's
I know
so
it's
confusing.
not technically black; it's just a dark blue. But they got the stripes there. Now I had an opportunity. I went to Happy Valley, went there for a whiteout. That was a hell of a situation.
That's on the bucket list for me.
That is that's a fun one. But it was a day game. I wanted to go to a night game. You're right.
Yeah, a night game.
I want to go to a night game in the SEC. I want one day. I want. You know how Rock is always traveling around going, and he calls us up, and says, "Hey, I'm in Baton Rouge." Or
that's the number one for me. My number one bucket list: night game Baton Rouge.
Is about. I don't care. I want night game SEC. I'm not picking
like a Vanderbilt game or
night place any place other than Vanderbilt. Night game. I'd go to Mississippi. I'd go to Tennessee. I'd go to
Columbia, Missouri. Night game.
All right, Vanderbilt and Missouri are off the list. They're the Colorado of the SEC.
The Tennessee game tonight would be a fun one to go to. The blackout unis at Tennessee, they're playing Kentucky tonight. Kentucky is the 11.5-point underdog in this matchup. Tennessee, they got to win this one before they play Georgia next week.
Hey, coming up after the break, your chance to pick games against Jeff Hudzow. He joins us next. Find out what's going on at Best Deals AZ and get his picks.
Oh, I got a Black Friday deal too.
Ooh, can't wait to hear. That's coming up next. We'll be right back on Fox Sports 910.
CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
We're going to turn Jackson's microphone off. He's watching the Penn State-Ohio State game, getting kind of fired up.
He just said yo 35 times in a row.
I love upsets.
They scored a touchdown, and he just involuntarily repeated the word yo like 30 times.
I'm a young kid that loves college football. I'm sorry.
We love the enthusiasm. Welcome back. As promised, we head out to the phone lines. Welcome back for his regular visit, our good friend Jeff Hoodzow. Jeff, Mike, and Jackson, how are you today?
What's up, boys? I'm ready. I'm locked in and ready.
Well, before
That's good because your segment is live right now on the air.
And before we do all that, I got to ask. We haven't talked about this in a minute. Has Bauer come in and opened the wallet up and purchased a sound bar from you there at your store?
The first time Bauer opens his wallet up, it'll be the inaugural action of that wallet getting opened up.
That's pretty true. Yeah.
If it's free,
I'm poor.
Bauer takes 3.
Yeah, hell yeah, I would, and I'd sell 2 of them.
And the store, I should mention, Best Deal AZ. Hey, and I get your emails every week, and I don't know if you do it or somebody else, but nice job. These deals will suck, right? That's what I saw in my the memo line when I opened up my email yesterday.
That's not good.
But then I open it up, and then it sucks your blood, not your wallet, and then it gives the Halloween hour.
Oh,
how good is that?
Look at you.
Marketing, I love it.
Yeah. Boys, I went to Arizona State University, so I'm pretty good when it comes to being creative.
There you go. Hey, Jeff, real quickly before we turn it over to Bauer, let you do your picks. Seriously, if he ever did open his wallet, how much? Because we're not. I mean, you guys have great deals on everything. How much would a good quality sound bar? How much would that set him back if he came in to see you?
You know, for $99, you could improve your sound so much more than what you're watching at home right now or listening on the radio. $99 is your starting point, and that'll get you done. That
sounds very like a way to improve my 10-year-old plasma TV that I listen to the stock speakers inside the TV. That sounds like a very economical way to do it. Speaking of deals, Black Friday's right around the corner. Jeff, you guys have a fantastic early Black Friday deal. So Black Friday is like a month away, but you guys got an early Black Friday deal, an LG 75-inch 4K smart TV on sale for $499. That is ridiculous.
It's you know what? I usually don't start my Black Friday deals early, but with our Halloween sale, this one's a pretty spooky one. And I think we're going to go $499 LG 75s. That it's got 10 of them in stock. They are so good, Mike. You'll buy it. Guaranteed.
I mean, it's a tremendous deal. $499, you get yourself that HD, or not even HD, 4K now. I gotta get my act together. The HD's like such a thing of the past.
That was like 2010.
Jeez, yeah, exactly. That's a 4K smart TV for $499. Now, Jeff, how do we get our hands on that tremendous deal?
Well, all you do is you get in your car or your motorcycle or your Uber. You can walk, take the bus. 235 East Baseline. We're in the southwest corner of College and Baseline in Tempe, and we're open every day. So just come in and say, "Hey, I want the take the points special," and we'll get you taken care of.
There you go. The take the point special. All right. Well, Jeff, let's take a look at some of these special picks you might have. Not necessarily deals, but we got great picks today. You were 2-1 last week, my man. But today we got USC at Arizona in the Old Pueblo. Arizona grabbing 15 points. That over-under at 74. Those are the numbers we're seeing here at Casino, Arizona, CAZ Sportsbook. USC at Arizona plus 15.
Now, what's the name of the show? Take the Points?
Yes, sir.
Is that the trend? Is take the points? Well, guess what? We're not taking the points. USC is going to win. I'm going to say about 90-0. They're going to absolutely roll. Take the over and USC. You can lay 15. You can lay 25. You can lay 35. It's going to be a bloodbath in the Pueblo.
All right, so he's got USC minus 15, winning 90-0, which clears the over-under as well. 602-260-9191 is the number to get in. Make your picks against Jeff. You beat him, you are entered to win a 75-inch 4K smart TV from Best Deal in town. They're online at bestdealaz.com. All right, let's go to tomorrow. Forget about today, USC, Arizona. Done with that one. Tomorrow, 49ers at Rams. You got a new man in town there with Christian McCaffrey and the Niners. His first full week with the team. The Rams at home getting a point. The defending Super Bowl champs +1 at home tomorrow. What do you think, Jeff?
49ers banged up. I know they got McCaffrey in there. No Juszczyk. I want to say the 49ers, but I'm taking the Rams +1. Going against my gut, which my gut is terrible. Let's try to reverse jinx it. Rams +1.
All right, so he's going Rams +1. He's got USC -15. Once again, beat those picks, and you could win a 75-inch 4K smart TV. And if you beat him, you're automatically going to get a $50 gift certificate to Best Deal in Town. All right, the Cardinals head to Minnesota, take on the Vikings. Patrick Peterson and the Vikings, if you will. The Vikings laying 3.5 at home. I'm sorry. I'm a little surprised by that line right there as I'm reading it. Vikings -3.5. The over-under is 49. Jeff, what do you think?
I don't. This is the first time all year I'm doing this, but I wrote down my pick and I had the Vikings, and then you remind me of Patrick Peterson, and that bum is going to get lit up. So I was going to take the Vikings. I was going to say, hey, Call of Duty just came out, blah blah blah. Give me the Cardinals +3.5. Cardinals are going to win straight up against the Vikings.
Patrick Peterson did say he was going to get 2 interceptions, and he had a celebration he had a celebration already prepared, I guess. So I agree with you, Jeff.
Yeah, I got a celebration for him too. Give me the Cardinals money line all day.
Oh, that's bum. There you go. So you flip-flop just on the fact that I mentioned Patrick Peterson. Okay. I see how it goes. Jeff Hood's out. Best Deal in Town, bestdealaz.com. We got ourselves Black Friday coming up next month. We got the holidays, Hanukkah, Christmas are right around the corner a couple months from now. Jeff, how can people get those deals done, the best deals, but how can people get that holiday shopping done early?
So if you're at home right now, if you're in the car and you're at a red light in park, go to our website, bestdealaz.com. That is all of our inventory. Our official Black Friday deals start actually on Veterans Day, so 2 weeks before. I'm just giving you boys a little taste, a little amuse-bouche of what's coming, but we're going to have deals the entire month of November, and I'm going to be honest with you. These are some I thought I was drinking when I wrote down these deals, so there's going to be some crazy deals for the next month.
Wait. What are you giving us? A mood bouche? What is that?
It's an hors d'oeuvre.
1 minute.
A tiny little.
Now I know you like to go to a place where you throw peanuts on the ground, but when you go to a fancy restaurant where you got to wear a collar and a jacket, they got some nicer stuff.
All right, it must be that ASU education.
I'll
kicking
take you
in again.
boys out for a moose bouches.
Jeff, always good to catch up with you. Let's do it again next Saturday.
Thanks, boys.
Jeff Hoodzow. That's a big TV.
That's a great deal.
For the love of Christmas, go buy yourself a soundbar. Treat yourself.
Let me have $99. I'll go get a good one.
Treat yourself. Jeff will take care of you.
30.
That's going to do it. Hour number 1 is in the book. Still to come. Hour number 2, Marco D'Angelo from WagerTalk.com joins us at 12:30. Going to step aside. We'll be right back on Fox Sports 910.
Time for Arizona's only local sports gambling radio show. Take the Points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, take the Points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
Hour number 2. We're out here at the CAZ Sports Bar, Casino, Arizona. Come on out and see us. Great staff out here. I already had my breakfast Sammy. That's how we start our days. It's the official breakfast food of the show. The breakfast sandwich here at the CAZ Sports Bar.
It's a good
service with a smile. Great folks out here, whether it's the window at the Sportsbook, the bar, the wait staff, taking great care of you out here. Great food and drink specials. Big screen TVs all over the place. And, again, it's at a Sportsbook. Your chance to put a few dollars here or there on the games that are on the big screens, or maybe get some money for one of the NFL games coming up tomorrow. The windows open up 1 hour before the game starts, whatever the sport is, whatever the season is. The kiosks, self-service kiosks on the other side are open 24/7. If you know what you do, you don't need any help, just head up to one of the kiosks. They'll take care of you there, and just that easy.
You know, I was walking in today, and there was a gentleman just right in front of me, and he was walking with purpose. He had his eyes up. He looked like a running back looking for a hole.
Yep.
Right? He almost looked like he had a lead blocker, and he was just going. And he had a very considerable amount of stack of cash in his hand.
Fat stacks.
And he went right up to the kiosk right here. He was a man on a mission. He almost ran into some idiot that was walking around looking down at his phone. Almost trucked the guy because he was like, I'm going to the sports bar and I'm going to bet right now. I got this money. He had the money in his hand ready to go. He was excited to place whatever bet it was. And then some other schlub was walking around just like, I don't know, he was texting on his phone, had his eyes down. He didn't have his eyes up, right? You guys know, Jackson, you played. You got to keep your eyes up. Head on a swivel.
Yeah.
Come on now.
It's football season.
That guy was walking in. He had a mission. He's like, I'm gonna gamble.
It's football season. We talk a lot of football here, of course, but I see up on the far right-hand side at the Sportsbook, they got the numbers up for the Phillies and the Astros.
There you go.
Basketball and hockey season underway. We had both the Suns and the Coyotes playing last night in the Valley. All of it, you can take care of you here at the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar. But as we do weekly, we get some interesting news and notes on the world of sports wagering from our friends at betonline.ag, and we will run through some of those now. Some of the things that caught Jackson's eyes as he peruses that list.
Yeah, I want to talk NFL, guys, because there's a lot of good NFL games, some weird lines, some weird over-unders for tomorrow, but just some interesting storylines here. The Giants are 5-0 outright this season as an underdog, and they're an underdog once again, 3-point underdog against Seattle this week. So 5 out of their 6 wins, they've been the underdog so far. Another storyline here is the Jaguars have now lost their last 5 games outright as the favorite, and they are favored once again this week.
That one hurts me. That one hurts my heart because I think we talked about it before the NFL season started. I placed 3 wagers to start the NFL season.
Yep.
One, that the Buffalo Bills would win the AFC East. I'm feeling okay about that.
You went out on a huge limb with that one.
It's a future for a reason.
Wow.
Like that.
Actually, after the Dolphins beat the Bills in like week 3 of the season, you're probably like, oh.
Well, the second one was the Packers to win the NFC North. How am I feeling about that?
Well,
nobody said anything about that at the time.
I'm a Bears fan, and the Packers being bad is my favorite thing about this football season so far.
And then the last one, Jackson, why I bring it up here is the win total was 6.5 for the Jaguars, and I was feeling okay the first couple of weeks. To your point just then, not so much. 6.5 is going to be a struggle for this team.
Wait, hold on a second. So what was that number again? So the Jaguars had lost 5 games outright as the favorite?
Yeah, and they're favored this week.
I'm guessing that's like over the last 10 years. The Jags haven't been the favorite a lot. That's probably got
it's been this season. It's been this season. Honestly, the last 5 games they've been the outright favorite.
People are falling in love with
the Jaguars. They played the Broncos in London, which is interesting. I understand that they're the favorite, but
do you though?
Everything.
I don't know if I do. Yeah.
Everything in this game, right? The Jaguars tomorrow morning, bright and early, our time, but in the afternoon there in jolly London. The Jaguars, everything's going to come down to how many high knees did Trevor Lawrence do on the flight? Because everybody knows that's what you got to do. While the whole team's sleeping, getting their Z's, You got to go up and down the aisle like Russell Wilson was to get, you got to do high knees in the aisles.
Do you think that'll help Russell Wilson?
Oh, my goodness. What a joke.
I'm dangerous.
Yeah, whatever. Russell Wilson, that guy. If you're him and you're somebody on that team, you're probably rolling your eyes. But of course you weren't because you were asleep because you're flying to London for a football game. Go to sleep, Russell.
Yeah,
Take a nap.
Some more storylines here for the NFL as you guys prep your parlays and bets for tomorrow. The Colts are 0-7 against the spread in the first half, and with the Falcons not covering last week, there are no more undefeated teams this season against the spread. Some other big movements, or actually, I want to do the most wagered favorites.
Okay, all right. Then you do it.
So at number one, we got 84% are going with San Francisco. The second one is 82% are leading on Tennessee -2.5. Now it's been reported that Malik Willis will be starting because Ryan Tannehill is hurt. So I wonder how the spread moves there. And then 71% of people are going with Las Vegas at New Orleans -1.
Vegas at Nolans there. Yeah, I mean, and obviously, New Orleans was just here in town a couple weeks ago. The Cardinals made it look easy in a win. And I guess they came back a little bit at the end, but a couple defensive touchdowns helped the Cardinals out to beat Nolans.
That first one caught my eye, though, when you said it. San Francisco at the Rams. Obviously, the Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions from a year ago, but the 49ers, as it's like a math equation. As much as the Rams have owned the Cardinals, the Niners have owned the Rams. It's really interesting, and that's
except for that playoff game last year.
Except for that playoff game last year, but this is a regular season game, and that number was 84% of the wagers are on San Francisco -1.
Yeah, so we just talked favorites there. Let's get into the underdogs. I think this will shock you guys here. Washington +3 at Indianapolis. 70% of people are going with Washington. The Arizona Cardinals are getting 66% of people leaning towards them on the 3.5-point underdog there. And then 64% of people are leaning on the Green Bay Packers +11, which I see that because it's so many points, but I think this Buffalo team is just going to roll them prime time at Buffalo night game there.
You mentioned the Arizona-Minnesota game. That's a game in our picks this week. We're going to talk Cardinals and Vikings a little bit later in the show, so we're going to break that game down. But that game started as -5. It's already moved 1.5 to get to 3.5. So in terms of that game, when it opened, it was Minnesota and the Vikings at -5. It's already moved to 3.5. And, in our last segment, Jeff Hood's out just being reminded of the fact that Patrick Peterson's on the Vikings flipped his pick over to the Cardinals to win that game.
The other thing that you bring up with that Bills-Packers game, the largest underdog that Aaron Rodgers has ever been in his career. To my ears.
Oh, the poor guy.
That is just crazy when you think about all the games that he's played.
Pobrecito.
You got issues.
Yeah, awesome. Love it. Love every minute of it. I love watching his miserable, dumb face be sad on the sidelines.
He needs another trip to the peyote.
Good old
peyote farm or whatever he did.
Whatever.
To get in touch with his ancestor, literally.
Ayahuasca, right?
According to him,
he's over there licking like magic tree frogs and getting high in the woods.
It's because his tattoo's not activated yet. He's trying to activate his new tattoo, and he's not. This is his first year that he's tatted. So.
I just thoroughly enjoy watching Karen Rodgers' stupid face be sad on the sidelines and get angry at his defense.
There's a little it's cathartic for you.
It's tremendous.
Let it out.
Hey, the best thing that's ever happened to the Bears in terms of quarterbacks in my life is Aaron Rodgers not playing well right now. That's the best thing.
It's been a long time coming,
That's how bad the Bears quarterback situation has been my entire life.
Well, he has owned the Bears, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And he'll remind you of it, and he's not wrong. He's 100% right.
And I'll be interested when you talk about this Cardinals-Vikings game, early game tomorrow for the Cardinals traveling to the Twin Cities. And, Jackson, you just gave that stat out, the fact that this number has moved. And
that was me. I gave out the
I'm not seeing it. I mean, we live here. Maybe you're very close to it and you don't understand it. But, you look at this, there are a handful of teams in the NFC right now. You've got the Eagles, of course, undefeated. You've got the Giants at 6-1. You've got the Cowboys at 5-2. then the Vikings at 5-1, and after that, you got some average football being played up and down the rest of this NFC. I mean, if you're sitting at 3 wins after 7 games, you're nowhere out of this playoff race. But I don't understand the Cardinals going on the road to a really tough place to play, a really loud place to play against a team coming off a bye. I don't understand it, and hopefully Marco can explain it to us when he comes on.
They said the last time that the Cardinals beat the Vikings at the Vikings was like 1976.
Oh, my goodness. That's a long time ago.
0-22.
Now, it's not just going on the road to a 5-1 team. It's going on the road to a 5-1 team whose only loss was at Philadelphia. So that one, if this was college football and we were trying to look at the college football playoffs and the value of a win over a good opponent and loss, they have one loss, and it was on the road at Philly. Now, granted, they got embarrassed in that game. Mm-hmm. They lost 24-7, week 2 of the season, but their only loss, they've won 4 straight games now, coming off a bye. Their only loss is at Philadelphia in week 2 of the season for the team the Cardinals are visiting this week.
I was driving around listening to local sports radio, and they were talking and reading from the one of the Minneapolis area newspapers, and they said similar to what people were saying about the Cardinals a year ago. This is a 5-1 team, but it's fool's gold because you look at that 5-1 record, and you said the only loss is to the Eagles. When you look at it, who they've beaten, they've beaten the Packers, they've beaten the Lions, they've beaten the Saints, they beat the Dolphins,
Bears,
and the Bears. They beat the Dolphins without Tua. So, what is this Vikings team? And maybe that's what's driving it. But I don't understand it. In the NFL, to me, you are what your record says you are.
Yep.
You're 5-1. You're in first place in your division.
But you also have a 4-point victory over the Lions at home. You have a 3-point victory over New Orleans at home. You have a 7-point victory over a bad Bears team at home. So those are those 3 wins in a row that aren't great wins, but your record is what you say. That's hello.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to, can the Cardinals defense make Kirk Cousins uncomfortable? This offense, they do so well off of explosive plays. They build off of explosive plays. It's going to be a tough environment to play at, and you got to stop. You got to put some pressure and kind of relief, I guess. You got to put some pressure on Kirk Cousins and relief, I guess, for the secondary, because they're going to have to cover Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen all day. So
Cardinals and the Vikings, 10 a.m. tomorrow on Fox locally. And as we said, that line down to 3.5 for the Vikings, the over-under 49 points. That's one of the games we'll talk to Marco D'Angelo when he joins us coming up in our bottom of the hour segment here on the show. We'll step aside here, take care of some business. On the other side, we get back to the college football scoreboard. It's getting interesting, or still interesting, staying interesting in State College. We'll look at that and some of the other games getting ready to kick off when we return right here on Fox Sports 910.
Powered by the SportsBook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
AZ TV Channel 7 is your new home for college football here in Arizona, featuring schools that have produced some of the game's best athletes. Great football, high energy, halftime bands, and coverage you won't find on any other station. Today's game features Arkansas Pine Bluff at Florida A&M, and that kicks off at 1 o'clock on AZ TV Channel 7. Let's take a quick look, Jackson, at the scoreboard. A lot of these early games have either gone final or getting ready to go final. What are we looking at?
Yeah, I know we're big Syracuse fans here. Syracuse is down 24-38. Syracuse ranked 16. Notre Dame unranked. Syracuse just scored down 14 with 5:44 left, so they need a couple stops.
We were Syracuse fans for probably about
5 minutes.
5 minutes the other day when they were. Once we figured out they were leading Clemson, up until the point that they gave that lead away with some stupid.
I'm a huge Syracuse fan because they're playing freaking Notre Dame.
I love Notre Dame. Let's go, baby. All right. Probably the hottest game right now, what everyone's watching, is currently number 2 Ohio State at 13 Penn State. Ohio State up 6 right now, 30-24 with 5:43 on the clock. Penn State needs a big stop here. And Ohio State just keeps driving. He just found Marvin Harrison Jr., like we mentioned before, for a big completion, and now it's 2nd and 10 currently. Ohio State on their own 41-yard line.
This one is interesting. We talked about it because it was a strong first half from Penn State against a couple weeks ago. It was Michigan, not so Ohio State.
Yep.
And Penn State hanging around a little bit better because this game is being played in the friendly conference of Beaver State. But it looks like Ohio State moving, maybe put this one away. But it is a 6-point game. 5 minutes to go on that one.
And then the third biggest game right now is 7 TCU up 3 against an unranked West Virginia. 34-31. West Virginia just scored, just like what Penn State needs to do. They need to stop down 3 with 4 minutes to go.
West Virginia about to onside kick, it looks like. They're lined up for that, and I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
You know how we were talking earlier about bucket list and where you want to go and the traditions and history of these schools and these programs.
Yeah.
This game's on one of the big screens here at the CAZ Sports Bar. We're coming back from break. I was walking back here to throw the headset back on. And what they show out of a break at West Virginia, Morgantown, the pumpkin drop contest at the dorms where they throw pumpkins off the roof of a dorm. That's what you do. And if you win this game, if they somehow come back and win this game, you know what's happening tonight.
They're going to burn couches.
They're going to burn couches in Morgantown. These are the things I know about Morgantown. I don't know if it's high on my bucket list, but I wouldn't mind going there one time either.
I mean, you're wearing Michigan gear, so you've already got the colors. So you're set.
Yeah.
You'd fit right in.
I'd just do like they do on TV when it's not authorized. Put a piece of tape over it.
Yeah, or you could just put a West Virginia sticker on top of it. You'll be good to go.
Morgantown's on my list.
Morgantown, a lot of moon shining in our hills, that's for sure.
Interesting game coming up at 12:30, guys, on CBS. You've got Florida and Georgia. That game played in Jacksonville every year.
We aren't allowed to call it the world's largest outdoor cocktail party anymore.
They used to.
We had to rebrand.
Here's the thing that bums me out about college football, though. Tradition has a price tag on it. You know, and you look at this, Georgia's a huge favorite in this one. They're 7-0, Florida's 4-3, but it's still Florida and Georgia. And, you know, this is the game they used to call the world's largest. But I'm reading the worldwide leader this week is they've got one more year on the contract, and man, they think they might want to get out of it because, boy, I lose a home game, and Kirby Smart's upset because I can't interact with recruits at a neutral site game the way I can if the game's on my campus. I can give them tickets,
right?
But I can't interact. I can't talk to them. I can't do that. They get paid a ton of money to go to Jacksonville, Florida, to play this game, to play a neutral site game. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised if Texas A&M can go away, if Oklahoma can leave Oklahoma State and move to a new conference. I shouldn't be surprised. But, you know, Florida and Georgia, and again, we're not huge SEC fans on this show, but it's history, it's college football, and that game needs to stay in Jacksonville. And you need to celebrate some of the tradition here. I get money. I'm not dumb. I understand how all this works. But there's enough money out there for Florida and for Georgia, and to change the NCAA rules on interactions with recruits on neutral site games to keep Kirby Smart happy so they can keep this game on the schedule this way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that it's one of those things, you know, in terms of tradition, this is up there in terms of like that, you know, it was always Thanksgiving was Texas
They had
A&M.
the big bonfires.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and Morgantown throwing pumpkins off the roof of dorms. Like, you have your traditions.
Different tradition. That one's not going anywhere. They're still going to smash gourds in Morgantown, win or lose.
All right. I vote for history and tradition. Can you imagine a world where Montana and Montana State sell each other out for money? No, you can't.
That'll never happen because Montana they're all about Montana. It all funds Montana, but I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the Florida-Georgia game like you mentioned. Florida, 22.5-point underdog, is the third most wagered underdog of the weekend. 72% of people are going with Florida as well.
It's actually even bigger, 23.5 here at the Sportsbook today.
Okay, well, the second most wagered over is also Florida and Georgia. Over 56.5 is what this sheet says.
That's what we got, yeah.
So that's something to look out for.
I don't know. I mean, we talk about it, but this is not an advice show. But I feel like in a rivalry game, and look, Florida's they're rebounding, but they're not on the same level as Georgia is. When you're talking 23, 24 points, that's a lot of points in a rivalry game.
Wait, all right, so you're saying the name of the show. Our show is named
Take the Points.
So that's kind of where you're leaning there on that.
I am.
A lot of points.
I would. It's a lot of points, and I'm leaning that way. But like I said, it's not an advice show.
Okay.
And in fact, if you look at my results lately, it's probably the opposite should be true. And you would respond, I'm taking Georgia and laying all those points. That you're doing a Jeff Hutza on me.
I will make a lunch wager with you.
All right.
I will.
A breakfast sandwich.
A breakfast sandwich at CAZ Sports Bar on it. Breakfast Sammy. I'm gonna take Georgia minus 23.5 against your Florida, taking the points.
Let's do it. All right.
I'll lay those points right there.
I know where to find you next Saturday to collect.
Yes, sir. Oh, I'll be right here.
I wish I was in this bet.
All right, on the other side.
And you know what? Loser buys both of you guys sandwiches.
I got it. On the other side,
you're a winner no matter what.
You tune in every week to hear him. Our good friend Marco D'Angelo of WagerTalk.com joins us. That's coming up next on Fox Sports 910.
from. Take the Points, powered by CAZ Sports Bar's resident handicapper, Marco D'Angelo of WagerTalk.com, joins us now on Fox Sports 910.
Welcome back in. That time of the day, regular listeners know we head to Las Vegas and say hello to our good friend, regular contributor to the show, Marco D'Angelo of WagerTalk.com. Follow him on Twitter at Marco in Vegas. Marco, how are you today?
What up, baby?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing awesome. It's great to have you on, and always enjoy our visits. And, we're living the life sitting in the SportsBook here at Casino, Arizona. Got games on all the big screens, and looking forward to breaking it down with you. And regular listeners know we always try to keep a little bit of an Arizona slant to it, and it was kind of slim pickings when we were looking at the games. But, Arizona and USC, you got the USC name. It's homecoming in Tucson. Arizona historically is always good for one good performance, one big upset. Maybe this is the night, but it's a big number when you look at it. USC in town, as I said, on homecoming. They're 15-point favorites, and that over-under is huge. It's 75, Marco.
Yeah, if you're looking for a defensive struggle, move on down the line. Find another game because this is not going to be it tonight. There'll be a lot of points in this one. But I'm not going to call for the upset, but I'm going to call for this one to be closer than people might think. And I got several reasons here. First of all, we got USC. Now, they are coming off the bye week, but it was their first loss of the season. A lot of times it's a scenario I like to do. The deeper you get into the season, when you have that first loss of the season, I like to go against that team the following week, kind of the dream crusher theory. And that's in full evidence this afternoon. We gave out Notre Dame on all the shows I did during the week playing Syracuse this week. Same scenario. Syracuse lost for the first time last week against Clemson, and they came up flat today, Notre Dame taking it to them. Now, I don't think USC is going to lose this, but they're coming off that Utah loss when Utah went for two. Gutsy move by the coach to go for two and get the win instead of kicking the extra point and go into overtime. So a stunning loss for USC. And if you look the last 5 times they've played Utah, they haven't done well the next week. They're just 1-4 against the spread. And that's one of the things we talk about with Utah a lot. They're a physical team. But that's a little bit negated because they had the extra week. They had the bye week. What isn't negated is the fact that USC historically has not been good in this role. Road favorite of 14 or more. They're just 3-8 in their last 11 tries. Now, we got a new coaching regime with Lincoln Riley and everything, but it's kind of hard sometimes to change the spots on a leopard right away. The next thing we got is Arizona in revenge. And Arizona gets a lot of opportunities for revenge games because they lose more than they should. But they are 10-5 the last 15 when they played in revenge. And as a conference home dog of 10 or more, not another compliment for Arizona when you're a dog of 10 or more at home in conference play, but they are 11-6 against the spread in that situation. I look at this Arizona team, and it's not been a great season, but there has been some bright spots. The transfer wide receiver, Jacob Cowing from UTEP, he leads the Pac-12 in catches, 53 receptions this year. He's tied for first in touchdown receptions with 7. So I like the fact that they should be able to trade some points with USC. In USC, I don't know how long this can keep up. What they've done through the first 8 games of the season is amazing. They have 0 turnovers. USC has yet to have a turnover. The plus 15, obviously, in that category, that has aided them along the way. I'm going with Arizona plus the points here. I'm calling for the shootout. 41-35 USC gets the win, but it's going to be closer than people think.
Wow. Marco, you don't know this. I mean, and actually, if you wanted to, you could watch us live. We stream the show on Twitter. But Mike Gross and I, when you're talking about games, and the same thing with Jackson Groff, we're just shaking our heads because it amazes us the stats that you come up with. You're talking about, well, in conference games on the road with this, it just blows our minds that you have the numbers for things I don't even think of to break down these games, and I'm excited to see what you got for the Cardinals. Vikings. The Cardinals go on the road to Minnesota. This is obviously this is a matchup of a couple teams that are well rested. The Vikings coming off a real bye. The Cardinals coming off that mini bye week in terms of the fact that their last game was last week, but the Thursday night game. So a couple, let's say, well-rested teams facing each other. A 10 a.m. Arizona start at U.S. Bank Stadium tomorrow. When you look at the 3-4 Cardinals visiting the 5-1 Vikings, how do you see this one pan out? We got about 3.5 Vikings laying that 3.5 over under right around 49.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head about the bye week. And for me, when I look at the extra time to prepare, I want to look and say, who does it benefit? Well, I'm going to start with the Vikings, and that's the last thing they wanted to see. They went into their bye week on a 4-game winning streak. They're 5-1 for the season. Their only loss was on the road, that Monday night game at Philadelphia. So a very good situation for them rolling, but that's the last thing you want to have happen. You don't want to take a break when everything's going right. You want it because it's a momentum stopper. Now, for Arizona, they got a much-needed win on that Thursday night game. As I expected, having DeAndre Hopkins back in the lineup changes the look of this team. It changes the way teams have to defend them. Simply put, because you've got to respect the passing game now. When Hopkins is on the field, he's going to generally draw double teams. When he runs a route downfield, you're going to have to respect that. It opens up the running lanes for not only the running backs, but also for Kyler Murray. If the play breaks down, you got more running lanes, open up wider because of the players that got to retreat and have their backs to you because they're respecting the pass. So we saw all of that into action on that Thursday night game. Now, obviously, they scored 42 points in that game. 14 of it was thanks to the defense. That final 2.5 minutes before the half, throwing not one but 2 pick sixes. I don't know that I've ever seen that right before a half like that. I wasn't watching the game live because I happened to be at a Golden Knights game that night, and I'm checking my phone. I saw, 14-14. Good, because I had Arizona in that game. I said, they're hanging in there. And then I saw at halftime, just like 3 minutes later, I was shocked that it was 28-14.
Yeah.
But it was one of those games, but it got them going, and things opened up for the offense. You saw Kyler Murray look more comfortable. Now, he still didn't have a lot of yards, but he did complete 20 out of 30, no turnovers. It's a stepping stone. It's where you start to build. And you want to talk about stats. Well, let's look at it. We've got all kinds of stats in this one as well. We talked about that bye week. That bye week for first-year coaches, this one actually surprised me. You would have thought, okay, new coach, he can make some tinkering with things and, make things throw out what he doesn't like so far and keep what he does to add some new wrinkles. It's not the case. Off the bye week, playing at home, new coaches since 2017, first-year coaches, how about 4-10-2 against the spread? That's not good. Add to the fact that the Vikings are just 3-8 against the spread when they are playing with rest and coming off a straight-up and against the spread win like they're doing. And we talk about Arizona. Last 11 games that wide receiver Hopkins has been in the lineup, Arizona's 9-2. He makes a big difference for this team. And then we can't forget the most important stat of all, Kingsbury. When he is on the road as a dog, how about 15-5-1 against the spread? Miami's the last game for Minnesota was at Miami. They won 24-16, but if you dig into the numbers in that game, it was smoke and mirrors. They were +3 in turnovers in that game, and they were outgained 458 to 244. That was Miami with backup quarterbacks. I'm taking Arizona here. This will be a fun one. Should be a high-scoring game. I'm taking Arizona 30-24. And I can't remember the last time we were on the show when we had both Arizona teams on the same show.
There you go. He's Marco D'Angelo from WagerTalk.com. follow him on Twitter at Marco in Vegas. And Marco, before we let you get out of here, we were talking about this as we were starting the show here at Casino Arizona. What a great time of year to be a sports fan, and what a great year or time of year to follow and be a client of Wager Talk. All the sports in action. We talk a lot of football, but got the World Series is ongoing. NBA started. Hockey, you're a big Vegas Golden Knights fan. Hockey season underway. And you guys at wagertalk.com have the entire spectrum of sports covered for your clients.
Yeah, in less than 10 days, we start college basketball. A week from Monday, college basketball starts. So it's going to be even more. And I always tell you guys, head to Wager Talk, download, our Wager Talk TV app. If you are betting college basketball this year at all and you want help doing it, we have a free guide. It's located on my buddy Ralph Michaels' page at Wager Talk. He's one of our experts. It's free. It's $19.95 value. You get it free. He breaks down every college basketball team, the returning starters, the teams that have new coaches, what their conference records were last year, and he breaks down their stats for the season and in conference play. And conference play is so important because, the beginning of the season, so many teams schedule cupcakes until they get into conference play, and it skews their numbers, where he breaks it down for you and lets you look at just their conference numbers. It's an invaluable tool. I use it in my handicapping. You should too, and it's free. Just head over to Wager Talk to download it.
Marco, as always, great stuff. We appreciate your time again. For our listeners, follow you on Twitter at Marco in Vegas and the website wagertalk.com. Marco, good stuff. Let's do it again next Saturday.
All right, let's cash some tickets. Enjoy the games, guys.
Good stuff, Marco. Always appreciate his time. Man,
where does he find all this stuff?
I want to be the guy. Like, there's probably a room full of people behind the scenes.
Coaches?
There's a room full of people on computers crunching numbers that nobody ever sees, and they just slide these papers out and give them to Marco, and he comes on the radio and says, USC is 1-4 against the spread following games against Utah. What? 1-4 against the spread in games following games against Utah. How do you even know? Like, Cliff Kingsbury, 15-5-1 against the spread on the road.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do a Jeff Hoods out. It's not going to be a Patrick Peterson thing, but it's going to be Marco who's going to help me shape my picks.
Smart. You're smart.
We'll do it in a few minutes.
Marco just bringing receipts every week.
Every week.
Love it.
Penn State did it again. Whoops, they did it again.
Got
closed out against Ohio State. Did Notre Dame finish?
Notre Dame won 41-24. Big win as they play Clemson next week. Number 5 Clemson. Hopefully, for the sake of college football, for the sake of the playoff, Notre Dame beats Clemson.
For the sake of the planet.
Get out.
Yes. They do not deserve to be in the playoff. If they're undefeated ACC team, they do not deserve to be in there. They're going to get blown out.
And the other game we were keeping an eye on early today, couches are safe across the great state of West Virginia, specifically in Morgantown. TCU hangs on 41-31. They improve to 8-0.
I want to tell you guys about some very exciting buzzer-beating last-second ACC football. Miami just kicked a field goal to make it 6-6. That's going to overtime in Virginia. That is exciting football right there, guys.
What a defensive battle that is.
There you go. Miami, Virginia. With a last-second field goal to tie it, 6-6 going to OT.
We step aside here and come back on the other side. We'll make our picks for better or for worse. Lately, you use me as a contraindicator. Whatever I say, go ahead, get your wallet out and go against me. You'll make yourself some money. But we'll do that. Come back and wrap up today's show. That's coming up on Fox Sports.
Points, powered by the SportsBook at CAZ Sports Bar and Casino, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Thanks again to Marco D'Angelo for joining us in our last segment. Always appreciate him coming on, his insights, his research. We'll tweet out some of those nuggets that he gave us just for fun before the game start. I got to read this text, though. A buddy of mine is a season ticket holder for the Colorado Buffs.
Oh, poor guy. It's a good thing they have weed in Colorado.
He sends me a text. I said, hey, we were talking about the Buffs on the show today. And he goes, oh, Brian's a great guy, the guest that you lined up.
Yeah, okay.
He said, hey, we're leaving for Folsom soon. We get a nice spread in the TD Club. Sit around two hours having drinks, having a wonderful time. And then the game starts.
Yeah.
Oh, man, to be a CU fan these days. And, hey, it's not one of the iconic stadiums in college football, but it is a beautiful place to watch college football there at Colorado. The Flatirons, in Boulder, just a great setting, and it's fall. And then, as he said, and then the games start.
Yeah.
Speaking of the game start, Jackson, how are we doing on our standings right now?
Well, folks, Bauer is in the lead right now in first place, coming off of a 2-1 week last week. Gross, big week for him, 3-0 last week.
Let's go, buddy.
Second place.
Perfect.
I'm in third place, and actually Hudzow is in third place. I'm in last place. It depends because I have 2 more games than he does, so I don't know how that plays out.
Tie goes to you. You pick more games.
Yeah, if you wanted to, you could do the math, do the winning percentage.
Plus, he's not here to defend himself.
Yeah. So we all went. Pretty good week from all of us, though. You went 3-0. The rest of us went 2-1. So
he is giving away a TV, though, to one of our listeners.
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in now, every week at 11:45, Jeff Hudzow from Best Deal in Town. You can find him online, bestdealaz.com. He joins us. He makes some picks just like we do, same exact games.
Yep.
And if you call in 602-260-9191, you can get in and pick against Jeff Hudzow. 602-260-9191. That's the number. Put it in your phone for next week, 11:45 every week. You get to make those picks. If you beat him during a week, guess what? You win a $50 gift certificate. No matter what, if you're the first caller in to make picks, you're entered to win that 75-inch 4K smart TV. That said, what games do we have on the docket this week, boys?
Alrighty. I guess I will drive us through this. First game, we got USC at Arizona. Arizona, 15-point underdog. The over-under here is 74. I'm going USC minus 15 here. I just think they got a bye week. They rebound. I think they win big. I don't agree with Marco in the stance of it being a close one. I think they just absolutely blow out Arizona at homecoming.
Hope you're right.
USC minus 15.
Look, I was researching this game, and I found out that USC is 1-4 against the spread following games against Utah. So go ahead and give.
Guys,
I'm with
listeners. He's kidding. Marco just said that about 10 minutes ago.
Give me Arizona and those points. I'll take the Wildcats and the points in this one.
All right, you're taking the Wildcats and the points, and I hate to do this, but hell, it's the name of the show. It's Take the Points on Fox Sports 910 Phoenix. I'm going to take the points as well, and I'll give you 2 words why. 3. I guess I'm not like the president. I can't count the 2 words, 3 words. I'll give you 3 words why. No Jordan Addison. Because initially I was just going to say Jordan Addison. And I was like, well, no Jordan Addison. If they had Jordan Addison, I feel like that's such a weapon at wide receiver. All signs point to the fact that he's not going to play. If I'm USC, if I'm Lincoln Riley, I don't have him play. Look, you're going to win this game by 2 touchdowns anyway. But guess what? If they win this game by 2 touchdowns without Jordan Addison, Arizona covers with plus 15. So I'm taking the Wildcats with the points.
Boom,
Still going to get
I see
killed.
what you did there.
Yep.
I see what you did there. All right, second game, folks. 49ers at Rams. Rams getting 1-point underdog here. So 49ers are favored by 1. Over-unders at 42. And for me, I don't know who's going to win, so I'm just going to take the over 42. I think it's a little low with 2 offenses that can exploit the defenses. We saw 49ers last week struggle against the Chiefs. I'm going over 42.
Over 42. This one, we talked about it, man. It's that NFC West math. The Rams dominate the Cardinals, and the 49ers dominate the Rams.
Okay.
And last week, though,
and the Cardinals dominate the Seahawks in Seattle.
Even with Christian McCaffrey, that he's not playing defense.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Just because of history.
You realize you have to make a pick, right?
I'll take the 49ers in this one. I don't love it, but if I got to make a pick, Taking the 49ers. Like I said, that's a hard one for me.
I actually just flipped my pick, and I decided to kind of follow Jackson's lead because I don't really like this either. We're talking about a game that right now is sitting at 1 point. You're looking at the Rams and the Niners. 1.42 is the over-under here at the Casino Arizona Sportsbook. I'm going to take the over 42 in large part because this may be open at 40. It's already moved to 42, 42.5. But also, this is a game where the Rams opened as 2.5-point favorites. Now San Francisco's is 1 point, 1.5 point favorite. So you're looking at San Francisco. This has actually swung about a field goal. It's a big deal. I'm going to stay away from that because I still don't know about Christian McCaffrey in this offense. The Rams are an absolute mess. So just let's do some math. I'll take the over.
All righty, folks. In the last game, we're going to NFL once again. We got to go to the home team. Cardinals on the road at Vikings. They haven't won there since 1976. Vikings favored -3.5 here, over under at 49. I'm taking the points. Let's go Cardinals. Cardinals +3.5 here. I think they come out hot. I think this is the last week was the game that they kind of rode the momentum. With D-Hop coming back, I think D-Hop exposes Patrick Peterson, just like what Jeff Hoodzow said in the first hour.
I hope he does.
Cardinals +3.5. Let's take the points. Let's ride.
And the 3.5, right?
Let's ride. Are you Russell Wilson now?
Is it 3.5?
Let's ride. Yeah,
Cliff Kings. I was crunching the numbers on this one too. Cliff Kingsbury
of course you were.
is 15-5-1 against the spread on the road as the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. They're getting 3.5. I'm with you, Jackson. Give me the Cardinals. I'll take those 3.5 points. And let's expose Patrick Peterson. Let's not even do it with DeAndre Hopkins. Let Robbie Anderson do it, just so we can have more fun with it.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm all alone in this one. I'm actually not all alone because our listener David called in, made his picks against Jeff Hoodzow, trying to win that TV from Best Deal in Town. But Jeff Hoodzow from Best Deal in Town, bestdealaz.com, Jackson and Mike Gross, you guys all took the Cardinals +3.5. Guys, give me the Vikings -3.5. I'm a Bears fan. There's no team in the NFL I hate more than them, including the Packers. But we talk about the Vikings that maybe their wins aren't that great, guys. The Cardinals have won 3 games this year, but their wins aren't that great either. Their wins are a miracle comeback in Vegas in overtime. They beat the Panthers that then just fired their coach right afterwards. And their win against the Saints, they barely won that game. They had 2 interception, pick sixes, 2 picks returned for a touchdown in a minute in that game, and they still only won by a touchdown.
So you're the lone wolf.
8 points at home. I'm taking the Vikings in this one. I feel dirty about it.
You're all right.
But I'm making this pick with my wallet, not with my heart.
All right.
1 minute.
We'll get those out on social media to see how we do. Real quick before we get out of here, circle these dates on your calendar. November 27th and December 24th. That's when the Chiefs play the remaining 2 teams from the NFC West. Everybody's like, oh, well, it's the Chiefs. They ran it up against the Cardinals, 44 points, man. Last week, 44 points at San Francisco. Defense is supposedly a heck of a lot better than the Cardinals. Just November 27th, the Rams, and December 24th, the Seahawks. They get a crack at the Chiefs. We'll see how safe that 44 number is in both those games at Arrowhead. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to everybody here at the CAZ Sports Bar, Casino, Arizona. Appreciate them taking care of us every week when we come out here. Don't forget Rock and Minuch, Monday through Friday, 1 to 4,
They'll
right
be
here on the
Monday.
station. And we'll talk to you next Saturday. Thanks, Richie.